tell anybody that I gave this to you, and he gave me the Wolf Wolf doll, and I took him home.
That's nice.
That was cool.
Other questions? One right over here.
How did they create the spot under the steps thing?
Okay. Spot was a sort of a T-Rex dinosaur that was used at Universal in the early 50s in a movie, I believe it was called The Lost World. And in a studio, they never throw away anything because you never know when they're going to repurpose something. So they took that T-Rex, which wasn't a full-size T-Rex, it was kind of a scaled-down model, and they used the head and the tail, and the head, which was under the stairway that you saw, was basically hung on wires and springs and hinged with a jaw, and they put gas mains, in there for his breath, and that's kind of what he was. And he was operated by a couple of grips underneath there.
Good question. Thank you.
And what was it like working with the Monkees and knowing Clint Eastwood?
The Clint Eastwood, what?
What was it like?
What was it like working with the Monkees?
Oh.
And Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Knowing Clint Eastwood.
Well, I was a big fan of Rawhide. So I was, back in the day, westerns were very big in my world. I loved watching, like you say, we had Rawhide, we had Have Gun Will Travel, we had the basic, the Steve McQueen was Wanted Dead or Alive. There was a lot of good westerns, but I didn't really know, Clint Eastwood, I just knew him as Rowdy Yates. He hadn't become a movie star yet. But it was fun to work with him because I did like him, and he had presence. You kind of knew he was going to be going places. You know what I mean? He was a really cool guy. The Monkees, that was another story. I was a huge fan of the Monkees. The Beatles had come to the Munster set, and I wasn't working that day for some reason, and I missed out meeting the Beatles, and I didn't go to the Hollywood Bowl to see them. One thing led to another. So when this Monkees job came around, and I worked with the guys for 3 days. Peter was my favorite before I went to work because he was the hippie. But once I was there, I kind of befriended Mickey. And Mickey, maybe it was because he was a kid actor, we had some common ground. But they were all wonderful. It was a great experience. I tell people it was probably my favorite role of everything I've ever done. And the fact that it became such a great show and an episode, because of that Christmas episode, how at the end they sang Rio Chew a cappella. But even more than that, I love the way that they introduced everybody from behind the camera to the world and said, hey, this is what does this, and this is our Monkey Girls, and here's our guy. And literally that gave a reflection on how much fun they were to be around and how lighthearted and spontaneous the shoot was. You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions before we wrap it up?
I have one.
Oh, we have one from Veronica herself.
Ever frightened of anything on the scene? Did anything ever spook you? Did you have nightmares from anything you've experienced in your childhood?
No, I was pretty much, it's funny when you go into a studio and the end result of what you see on TV or in a movie is a wonderful thing. But as I tell people, if you just could see about 3 inches outside the television screen, you'd see a guy with a coffee cup and a cigarette. It's not nearly as glamorous when you're physically there doing it, but what they make it look like when you see it, it really is magic. So I was always seeing the real deal and never really got too impressed or too scared of anything because I was looking at it behind the scenes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Well, I'll do one more question.
One more?
One last question.
One last question.
I hope this is good. But I know that you worked with a lot of different props, especially on the HR and stuff. Were you ever injured?
No.
In any of the scenes? So you were very lucky there was a silver cloud over you.
The closest thing to an injury twice, it only happened on the Munsters. One, Spot's breath got a little close and singed me a little bit while I was sitting on the banister. And number two, there was a scene where when they were building a birthday present for me, and I was supposed to fall into a pit, and as I'm looking up at the camera, they come walking up to me and they kicked a big clump of dirt in my eye, which really didn't hurt me, but it kept me from having to do homework that night. So that was a good thing. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming, of course. Thank you, Butch Patrick. I want to remind you that our table is over there. If you haven't come over yet, please do. Of course, don't forget to see our friends, the Brady Bunch, Barry Williams, Mike Lickland, and Susan Olsen. And of course, don't forget the over 80 vendors we have here. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. A big round of applause for all of you for your great questions, too. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.